Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I hope
I
so.
think that's key, right? Like, you have to. What's the point? I think if it's not like coming from a pure place, then why do it? So is why. What I always think by myself, it's. I know there is no money in it, so we don't have to, especially not in the Netherlands, which has. I mean, there's like local scenes, which with like individuals or groups of people that are coming to shows and stuff like that, but there's no money in it, so there's no monetary reason to do any of it. It's all for fun, and because this is the kind of music we want to make, just inherently the kind of music we want to make. That's, I think, the most important thing.
Hey, what's up, Vox and Hops heads? I'm Matt, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, brought to you by Sound Talent Media and Evergreen Podcasts, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians, talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. Hope you had a killer weekend. I most certainly did. This Vox and Hops episode is presented by Heavy Montreal. Heavy Montreal are Montreal's premier metal promoter, and trust me when I say this, if you are ever in Montreal and you're looking for a killer gig to go to, well, Heavy Montreal will have you covered. I'm beyond stoked to have Heavy Montreal behind the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast. Now, before we jump into today's episode, I'd just like to ask you to follow the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. But more than that, I would love if you would tell one of your friends about the podcast. You can let them know that I have over 460 episodes where I sit down with some of the world's best metal musicians to talk all about their lives and music, and we also share amazing craft beers. If you would encourage one of your music-loving craft beer enthusiast friends to become a brand new Vox and Hops head, that would be something that I would truly appreciate. Now, today on the podcast, I'm very stoked to be with Marius and Jordi of Throwing Bricks, as well as Shira from Ontaard. Get ready, everyone. This is Vox and Hops episode number 461.
I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Today I'm very stoked to be with wonderful humans from across the ocean, as the technology of the world allows us to do. I'm hanging out with Marius and Jordi from Throwing Bricks, Shira from Ontaard. They just dropped like a massive collab record called Oud Zeer that I absolutely loved. Shout out to Jerry Monk, the Vox and Hops metal architect, who continuously sends me totally catered music that he knows that I'm going to love. I love post-metal. I love things that breathe, things that get noisy, and this collab record is most definitely that. So I reached out, very stoked to be sitting with you right now. How are you all doing today?
Really good.
Yeah, doing great. Happy to be talking.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for having us.
Oh, I'm very stoked to have you. I was saying that the hype is there, having Decibel feature you guys, seeing a bunch of other people feature you. I'm excited that you took the time to sit down with me. Vox and Hops is all about hanging out with my metal friends, talking about their lives and music while sharing craft beers. So going around, introduce what you guys are going to be sharing virtually with me today, starting with Shira.
Vanderstreek. It's a very local craft beer from Utrecht.
Very nice.
It's non-alcoholic IPA, right from here. So
hell yes, I love that. And how about you, Jordi?
I'm actually drinking the same because we're basically in the same room, but there's a wall in between, so the audio won't get mixed up.
Well done.
But I'm drinking the same one.
I like that. And how about you, Marius?
I am drinking a Kopparberg, which is a apple cider with a taste of strawberry and lime.
Nice.
It is okay.
It sounds horrible.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I was just like, over here it's something that I don't understand is that I'm from Quebec, Montreal, Quebec, and we have a plethora of apples. It's like the people like, there's massive traffic jams in September heading up to where I grew up in St. Joseph, du Lac, and there's multiple other places, but that's like a huge like apple orchard farm area, and there's not enough cider factories, and there's not enough cider factories that put weird adjuncts in it, such as strawberries and lime. Is that what you said?
Yeah, this is British, I think.
Okay. But the British love their cider, that's for sure.
Yeah, Netherlands don't. I mean, there's some ciders, but not a whole lot.
And if you have cider, it's very sweet.
This is like the last rest of like a holiday where we stocked up on ciders in France, and my wife did some in England.
Nice. It's the last lone survivor in the back of your fridge.
Yeah. That's like all the normal apple cider is long since run out.
It's the ones that where you open your fridge and you look in and you're like, I don't want that. And you put it back.
Like, oh, this is happening. Yeah.
Okay, but you guys crack those. I'll introduce mine. Very happy to be doing this in the afternoon, so everyone knows. This is Kahnawake Brewing. One of my favorite breweries from just outside Montreal. They are on the Kahnawake Native territory. They are a native-owned brewery. I love them. They just celebrated their 6th anniversary. I'm not sure if this was a part of that drop, if it just dropped beforehand. This is a Hatskwi. It's a coffee beer. Skolden is the name of it. So it's Drew, their owner. One of the owners likes to be funny, and I don't get the joke on this one, but if he tells it to me hypothetically, I might laugh. Sorry, Drew. But it's a morning Pilsner, so it's a Pilsner that has a bunch of coffee that was added into it from Moccasin Joe's Coffee Roasters, and I can't deal with caffeine past like 3 o'clock. It will keep me up all night. I'm getting old. Even like a Coca-Cola will kill me. I was in, when we played in Saudi Arabia, dry country, we went out to dinner and I never drink sodas. And I was like, okay, whatever, I'll take a Pepsi. And then I was awake till 6 in the morning. Even a Pepsi affects me. So this beer has been sitting in my fridge waiting for like a daytime drinking opportunity. Here we are. I'm going to pour this out, and I'd like to hear about your very first beers. We can start with Marius and make our way around. Marius, do you remember the very first beer that you ever drank?
Well, I don't know actually, because I don't know what the drinking age is in Canada, but when we were young, it was 16 in the Netherlands. It isn't anymore now; it's 18, but which probably meant I drank my first beer like a couple of years before that. And I genuinely don't. It's like I don't know what kind of beer it was, or even what the occasion was. Probably just hanging out with some friends, where someone was of the legal drinking age, and then who got
that good friend
who got beer. I think that's probably a very common theme.
Totally. You got that older person that's around that can get access to it. Over here, it's at 18 that we can start drinking in Canada, and there's always that older-looking person with the hypothetically fake ID that would grab our beer. Shout out to Simon, who I'm still friends with, but party less with because he's sober now. How about you, Jordi?
Mine was Brand beer, which is, I think, it's a Dutch beer from Limburg, and I remember it well because I was playing for my music teachers and all in Apocalyptica cover set, and I was the only bass player at my music school, so
you had to do everything.
I had to play everything, and I'm not the biggest fan of Apocalyptica. I don't know if you know it, but
I do know them. I have one vivid memory. We were playing. Oh, what's that fucking festival? It's in Germany. It's on the side of a lake. I can't remember. Anyways, I can't remember. And it got canceled because it rained. But it's like all the backstages are in these metal containers that are like a structure altogether. And Apocalyptica were rehearsing right next to ours. So I was lying down taking a nap because we were doing a van tour. And I just heard this like rumbling of the strings, and it was really cool. But then they canceled the whole show, and there was no show for that night. But it was going to be sick. Black Dahlia were there. What a night that was! Yeah, crazy. I was the only dude in my singing lessons, so I had to do every duet. So I feel you. I had to sing Romeo and Juliet had this very popular song at the time in like a play here in Quebec, and I had to sing in like full like leotards. This like Romeo thing. This was when I wasn't in Crypt Drops yet, obviously, but I was still like getting into the metal side of myself in my other band. So I felt bad doing it, and anyways, I did it nonetheless. So being the only sometimes in something makes you do things that you know, but just experiences that you learn from everything.
Exactly. Yeah, you learn something new. I also did a lot of Police and Sting and all those kind of stuff. So You're supposed to when you're a bass
the police
player.
instinct is, you can grasp some stuff.
That's
from
awesome. Yeah.
Shira, how about you? Your first beer experience?
My first beer experience, I think it was in Popfront, which was like a local, very tiny venue where I grew up, where they had like bands for like basically for free every Thursday, and I used to drink wine, red wine only, and then like after like a few rounds, the guys were kind of fed up. Like, I'm not gonna get wine, especially for you, every single time. So here's a beer, and I remember saying like, no, I hate beer, I don't like it. But after 4 glasses of wine, everything tastes the same. So,
well, there you go. It's just opening your palate, refining yourself, such as when I first heard Cryptopsy and I didn't like it, and here I am, the singer of over 17 years. This beer is interesting. You can feel the Pilsner side of it, like the malty bite, but the coffee is extremely overwhelming. So like the initial smash in your face is like a dark black espresso, sorry. And then there's like a malty rich finish at the end. And it's really interesting how they managed to not let I'd have to ask Drew about this, how the color didn't affect, imagining putting dark coffee into a beer. I have questions for Drew. Craft beer in the Netherlands. I was just there a month ago, 2 months ago. We played 2 shows in the Netherlands. What I noticed is that there are very good craft beer breweries. And then what I really noticed is that you guys seem to necessarily really enjoy high percentage alcohol. A lot of the beers that I would notice in these craft beer bars really heavily leaning upon like the 8% and higher, and like big hard stouts. Is that truthful, or is it just my perception of these 2-3 places I went?
I think it's somewhat true. It's also what I noticed when I want to get some beers somewhere, that most of the craft beers are up in the higher
6%
percentages.
or higher, yeah.
Yeah, 6% or higher, which is I don't like really heavy beer, so it's mostly a bummer for me. So
They're dangerous.
Well, yeah, exactly, and expensive. So yeah, but I do think there's some truth to it, unless you're like in special craft beer cafes or something where they have more lighter stuff. But in general, I think that's true. Yeah.
So most craft beers are like blonde or triples, and those are like higher percentages. But I think like the last few years, the IPAs are really coming up, and those are like mostly 6%, and those are fine.
They are. You still have to watch yourself, but they're tasty and good. I went to Van Mol in Eindhoven, and that was an excellent establishment. The beers were fantastic. And then what we did in Eindhoven, which is something that I'd never done before, is that we had a late bus call. And we went on this particular street next to the big church in front of Dynamo. And it's a party fucking street. And we're Cryptopsy, we're like, we can say we're getting older, right? So I'm 40 and I'm basically the youngest in the band. And then the rest of the tour package, we were with Atheist. Kelly is a bit older, but he wasn't with us that night. And his band is a tad younger, but we still felt very old because it's like a party street for young people. It was out of control.
Yeah, I've also I know which streets you're talking.
It's
about.
like 3-4 blocks, and it's just packed with very young people that are extremely intoxicated.
Yeah,
and karaoke bars.
So there's a lot of young people there. I've also spent one night on that street, and there wasn't a train back.
Can you still remember that one?
Oh yeah. There wasn't a train back to where I live. All the like bars and eating venues closed at like 4.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the first train back to where I live was at like 4 hours later, which was a bummer, and didn't really count for that. So, but that was really. That's a busy street.
Unbelievable. We weren't expecting it. When like you finished the show, it was a great show, and Dynamo's beautiful venue, and they take great care of you. So we were like on a high, and we went out, and we weren't expecting that. It was like, holy shit, Just crazy, but we felt out of place because we were so old. But
Yeah, it's a lot of students.
Yeah.
But did you go in anywhere?
We did. We went in and we had a beer, and it was so loud that I had to wear my earplugs. And then there's a metal bar. No, that's not true. I went to a metal bar. There is one metal bar, the Rock something something. I can't remember the name, and they were super cool. And I drank a Belgian sour that was very good, low ABV. And I escaped early, and I put one of my band members in charge, like in the hands of another band member, and I said, please make sure he gets back to the bus safely. And everyone got back, and we had a good time once everyone was home. Classic Vox and Hops question coming up, the soundtrack of your youth. When you were growing up in your parents' or guardians' house, what music was playing when you were not in control of the radio? What music did your parents or guardians listen to? Let's start with Shira.
I remember every time when we woke up and getting ready for school, my parents would put on Radio 4, so Radio 4, and that's a classical radio station. And apart from that, my dad would actually only listen to Spanish flamenco music.
Really? Did he play guitar, or was it just like an interest of his?
No, he dances. So that was like if my parents were in charge. But then luckily I also have two older sisters and the oldest was very much into Radiohead and all kinds of more like the indie early 2000s stuff.
Love it. Love Radiohead. I still listen to it to this day. It was basically the soundtrack of our recent tour, but mostly the solo Tom York stuff. Honestly, it's I can't listen to it anymore because we listen to it too much. Specifically coming from my drummer Flo. And that new The Smile is fantastic. If you guys have not checked it out, you definitely should. How about you, Jordi? Soundtrack of your youth.
Soundtrack of my youth. Well, my dad used to listen to Rolling Stones a lot, and also Quicksilver Messenger Service, which is like the whole "Who do you love? How do you love? Why do you love?" Song trio with all the guitar battles and stuff happening in it, which is really cool. And I was like a little punk kid. I used to listen to Sum 41, Blink-182 on repeat.
Yes.
And everything like that involves something pop
in that era. It's amazing because they're all back right now. They're all like making their return and like retirement tours right now, including Sum 41 and Blink-182. It's super interesting.
Yeah. Sum 41 is playing their last show this year, and Blink-182 is. I think they're still touring the world.
They're like making it around, just making paychecks until the end. But exactly. Shout out to Sum 41, local Canadian peeps. They took a break and they came back, and he came back really strong. So props to him for doing that.
Yeah.
How about you, Marius? The soundtrack of your youth.
Well, my parents listened to classical music mostly. My mom, she plays the clarinet, so she's big into classical music. My dad, he also really likes like 70s stuff, like the Beatles and Beatles, Rolling Stones, which is of course more 60s stuff, but like also later stuff that most of which I don't know. But it's mostly from my parents' side. Classical music, and then when I grew up, I have a 4-year-old a sister who was 4 years older than me, and she was, when I like got into music for the first time, she was like really big into things like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Queens of the Stone Age, and I remember the first album I ever got was a burned copy of Californication of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which I played only for about a year. I think I only listened to that record.
Oh, it didn't leave like your Walkman or your CD player or.
No, that definitely didn't. And then she got me By the Way, which then proceeded to be in my.
It trumped Californication. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I've listened to them so much back then that I cannot listen to them now anymore.
You're going to get really old and you're going to be like, okay, I'm ready now.
Yeah, but it's also my musical taste has shifted.
No, definitely. But I'm a new metal child, and there's CDs that I over listen to and I like put away for many years. And then during the pandemic, I went back and re-listened to everything because I had time. And there's some of them that I still listen to again to this day.
Yeah, but I think when I started to really get my own musical identity instead of just listening what my sister
yes,
gave
absolutely.
Me. It was like Slipknot was the first thing that I really got into. That was like in 2004, 2005. So after the
extremity and the aggression, the attitude.
Yeah. Exactly, and that is still one of my the subliminal verse for Slipknot is still to this day one of my all-time favorite records. So
hell yes, I love that. Talk to me about becoming musicians, taking music a bit more seriously. We spoke briefly before I pushed record about you guys being from the Netherlands and the arts being so supported there, having beautiful venues. I've spoken to a lot of musicians from the Netherlands. I know that there's like jam rooms where you guys can go, and there's gear, and there's like it's easy is not the right word for a young person that wants to play music to find a way to do it versus, let's say, in the United States where you need to go purchase your own equipment, find a jam room and stuff like that. So tell me about your first bands, what gave you that desire to pick up the instrument? We'll start with Shira again.
Well, like bands and stuff came for me a little bit later. I was a theater kid first.
Really? Okay, cool.
Yeah. So when I grew up, I always had like a theater play to rehearse for. And it was, even in the small town where I grew up, it was very, well, not small. But it was very prominent, and there were many like theater schools where you could go to. But both my parents, who were in the arts, were very like pushing towards me and my sisters, all of us doing something
artistic.
Yeah. So it was like a very natural thing to start doing. Whether it was theater or music, so I had singing lessons, I had dance lessons, I had all these things, thanks to them, yeah.
That's amazing that they well, first off, that they must have had a strong enough career to, not shy their own children away into, like, let's say, science or something with a more financial. So I mean,
that came with my own rebellious phase. I was like, no, I'm going to study international business and languages right now.
Smart.
I don't want to end up just as like poor and stuff. So, but it was inevitable.
Very sad. How has your theater background translated to your live performance persona?
I don't think you can separate the two of them. I think like theaters, that my theatrical background is like still very useful, if not only to know how to use my voice, and also I like to put a lot of emotion and a lot of myself also into the spoken words I do, and I think this background has helped me so much.
I agree, because a lot of musicians, like people that, like, let's say, as an example, some guitarist kid that played guitar in their room from 13 until they finally got into a band and then finally step onto stage, they don't know what to do with their body on stage. They can play real well, but they don't necessarily look cool yet. So the theater
awesome.
Background, the theater background would definitely come in to help there, where at least on stage, the persona is a natural, or you've been on stage enough to know how to position yourself and stand properly, to look good in the lighting, and not putting your back to the audience the whole time. Stuff that comes with many years of experience if you haven't had that. How about you, Jordi?
I used to play in cover bands a lot. So I played in cover bands for like 6 or 7 years before deciding to play my own music, which turned out to be way more fun.
Why would you say it's more fun? What is the difference between playing a cover that you really enjoy, hypothetically, versus something that you've created?
Well, that's a good question. But the thing is, if you play in a cover band, you don't only play songs you really enjoy.
That is true.
As a collective,
that is very true.
You choose a lot of songs, and everyone had their right to veto and also vote for songs. And sometimes you lose. And you end up playing Anuka covers for 6 years.
Were you like in a cover band that made good money? Because typically cover bands, you can pull a good salary and you're okay.
Yeah, I did.
So that comes with like the double-edged sword of that, where you're going to start playing original music, which isn't as valued in the eyes of the industry, sadly. But
it isn't valued at all.
But your emotional reward is far greater.
Exactly that. Yeah, because we used to play like weddings and stuff.
Oh wow! Okay.
They all pay really good, and now you're like fighting for a bit of money for a show, and then you have to split it with like 5 guys and also hire a van, and there's nothing really coming into your pockets at all.
No, it's a sacrifice that you have to make. So you went from the cover band that played weddings and then started playing your own material. How did that evolve into where you are now?
Yeah, good question. It all just happened by coincidence, I guess. I first played in like more kind of grunge, Alice in Chains kind of band, and then I discovered Atomic Bitchwax, and I don't know if you know them.
I do not know.
It's all just riff rock, all pentatonic scales, and
nice.
Which was really fun to play, but no one really wants to listen to it. And then Throwing Bricks needed a bass player, and I was like, oh yeah, sure.
And that's how you came in, which is perfect. Marius, what's your story into?
I've always been interested in like music and stuff, and my parents were very big on try something you might like it, and we'll support you doing it. And where I grew up, there was like a music school that had like orientating classes, which wasn't like that I started guitar immediately. It was like they first learned you a bit about music, a bit of reading music, like playing all kinds of different stuff like xylophones and keyboards and whatever. And then after that, I was like, okay, I wanna play guitar. And then
where did that come from? Where was the is it during the orientation that you finally held a guitar and you liked it, or was it beforehand?
That's when I started like noticing what the kind of music my sister listened to. Which was like Red Chili Peppers, Queen of
like
Stone
John
Age.
Frusciante, I Want to Be You.
Yeah, well, exactly. And that's when I was like, well, I want to do that. And then I play guitar, and for some reason, the guitar teacher I had, he only the music school in my hometown. The guitar teacher there only did. He always wanted to start with people learning Spanish guitar, which was
classical,
which
big
finger picking, stuff like that. So I was kind of bummed out that my Spanish guitar didn't produce big rock sounding chords.
Didn't have a whammy bar.
Yeah, didn't have a floor rose. But then I got a different guitar teacher, and he was way more rock oriented, and he kind of showed me the way, and I started learning from there. It's just also where during the guitar lessons, also where I met the vocalist of Throwing Bricks, Niels. We also went to the same high school together, but we met when we were like 13 or something. So that's coming up almost 20 years.
So that's like one band. You've had one. Throwing Bricks is the band.
No, we haven't. No, that's just when I met him. And I have played. I played with some classmates and like different kind of stuff. And the first real band I had was Well, it's the first thing I did with like playing metal on stage was my guitar teacher. He put like some guys together, like well, I know you guys all like the same music, and he put on like a band night for his students and guys that he knew, like drummers or something, and then we would do something. And I remember that we did some not very good covers of Destroy Everything by Hatebreed and This Lying World by Unearth, which none of us were really good enough to play, especially the Unearth one. None of us really could play it that well, but I did really like it. And then I played in like a metalcore band called Bleed for Mercy for when I was like 18, 17. Got kicked out / quit that band.
It happens.
Yeah,
it happens. Depends who you ask.
Yeah, and then like sometime after that, me and Niels were like hanging out, and we wanted to. It's also turning into an origin story of Throwing Bricks now. That we wanted to really like make music together. We're very good friends, and we're like, well, we want to make music. Like we wanted to make screamo basically, which is what we really wanted to do. So, and no band did that in our hometown, which isn't Utrecht. It's like a smaller city, like a half an hour away. And no one played that. We knew no one who wanted to do that. But we started writing songs, and that's where Throwing Bricks started. And then I soon realized I wasn't very good at playing screamo, but I did play a lot of Children of Bodom and Slipknot when I. So it started to get more metal and hardcore pretty quickly after we started the band.
You got to go through a bunch of doors to get somewhere, right?
Yeah. We went through a lot of phases as a band before we were like, oh, this is what we're good at doing.
And now here we are in 2024. Oud Zeer just came out. A collab. I was going to ask why or how the collab of the two bands came together, but the fact that two of you live in the same place, it sort of dictates how that happened. But
yeah.
so
yeah, and also you were talking about like Dutch rehearsal rooms and how easy it is for in the Netherlands to make music together, and that's basically where Daybase comes in, I guess, because it's our kind of our second home for Throwing Bricks, for Ontaard, and basically every band in Utrecht and surrounding cities. It's like a bar and stage which has had like 18 rehearsal rooms.
Wow, okay, and, cool.
Yeah, so that's where everyone meets and everyone makes music together.
And that's where I've met all of you guys, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you. The government needs to give people places to grow.
And but I don't think even that place in
is a private one.
Particular isn't government doesn't have any subsidies, I think.
But businesses need to give places.
I do agree with what you're saying.
Businesses also need to give places for musicians to grow and to commune together and to be together. In Montreal, we have that. It's called Cider 2000, where there's hundreds of jam rooms that you rent per month. And I just recently found out, and I jammed there for years with Cryptopsy, with 3 Mile Scream, my band before that, with a bunch of other bands. I was there last week practicing with some other band, and I just recently found out that it's actually Voivod that started Cider 2000. They like put on the power, like turn the breaker on to give supplement power to the entire building. So once again, not only are they innovators in the musical genre of metal, but they also catered this massive jam room location right near the Jacques Cartier Bridge here in Montreal.
Shout out.
Yeah, and I had no idea it was them, so I'm happy when I hung out with Away, he told me that. And a Snake, it's actually Snake that was super involved in that. Talk to me about collaborating and creating something together, and how different that was versus just doing it on Throwing Bricks' side or on Ontaard's side. Well, what is it like putting two bands together? I can only imagine with Cryptopsy. Cryptopsy is such a fight almost already between the guitarist Christian, Flo the drummer, just trying to iron out what is good for Cryptopsy. I can only imagine adding in like a whole other band, let's say like Suffocation or something, and having like Terrence Hobbs also throwing in his 2 cents. What was that like for this?
Well, luckily we didn't have any fighting, or there's no headbutting. It went quite organically. I think Throwing Bricks, they put out the question like, would you like to make a split with us?
We play quite some doomy things, and also quite some black metal kind of things. And on Art, you played more black metal things. And then I met Jeroen. I didn't meet him, but because I've known him for quite some time. But I saw Jeroen, and he was saying you guys were playing more doomy things by now. And I was like, oh damn, let's meet halfway.
What is a benefit of doing a split? Like if young bands are listening or other bands are listening, what is one of the positive things of doing a split? Having, let's say, both audiences discover each other's bands because the Venn diagrams cross over so much?
Well, I do think that's it. And also if one band's like a bigger band, you can like maybe help the other band. But I think mostly it's just for fun. Just like we just really wanted to do it because we're all friends. Even before Oud Art started, we just all friends together, and we were like, well, wouldn't it be cool if we could, just have a release together with our friends? And that's basically how we did it. I think that for us that was the main reason. I think not like any ulterior.
There's no like ulterior business motives. Yeah, it's just fun and creative.
It's just we wanted to be creative. We wanted to put out something together. We all like each other's band. It was like we know each other so well. And we're like, well, it's like pretty much feels only logical for us to ask them for a split.
And I also think like musically we fit together really well. Like we can when we put our music together, it fills each other.
Yeah. The Venn diagrams cross over enough that and you complement each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
And also everything we did in the last, not everything, but a lot of things that we did in the last years, so much based around community, and also we talk a lot about the base because it's they had to move, so the place where our community comes together. So this feels all very fitting in what we do as a scene, as a community.
That sounds like an upper level concept of the project, of the release, and it's just, I like stuff like that. I like things that have deeper meanings than just releasing something for the sake of releasing it. Having like a message behind it is important.
And I think like the core of the message is that it's indeed like it's supposed to be fun and to lift each other up. And none of us had any like business motives while getting into it.
It's super interesting that it came from such a pure sense of spirit, and then big media metal has picked it up and just enjoys the release so much. I think that's interesting. That when you come from a pure place, it resonates deeper than if you were really trying.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
I
think that's key, right? You have to. What's the point? I think if it's not like coming from a pure place, then why do it? So that's why. What I always think by myself, it's I know there is no money in it, so we don't have to, especially not in the Netherlands, which has, I mean, there's like local scenes, which with like individuals or groups of people that are coming to shows and stuff like that, but there's no money in it, so there's no monetary reason to do any of it. It's all for fun, and because this is the kind of music we want to make, just inherently the kind of music we want to make. That's, I think, the most important thing.
Talk to me about crafting a sonic landscape, because I definitely feel that that's what happens on Oud Zeer. Just it's more than just heavy and soft, and there's like definitely layers and layers of stuff, and it's like it's a sonic landscape. It's like much closer to a movie soundtrack than, let's say, a Cryptopsy release, which is just there to punish you.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not something I also like produced and mixed the both Ontaard and Throwing Bricks sides. But it's not really something I like how you're describing. It's not.
It's not how you approached it.
No, that's not how. I mean, I always it's might sound a bit. I don't know. But I always just see it like just wanted to sound as good as possible. I was like, and we had the time to like put a lot of layers on it, and I was like, well, this is fun, and this is fun. We have like some more time in the studio or in the space. Can we just? What if we put some extra drums here? What if we like double these guitars with like a weird tuned guitar, which is what we did on Abandon Me. I think we did some weird guitar things, but that's I don't know. I don't know how the others, Jordi Shira, see this, but that's not something I think we consciously do. We just like write songs we're stoked on, and
it's not like because I know some artists like See Colors, Devin Townsend's one, and Chris and Ollie from Cryptopsy. There's a word for that, synesthesia, I think it's called, where you write and you're painting a picture, and the music and the everything is there for a calculated reason to create a particular ambiance.
Well, in the end, of course, it is, because it's not just stacking riffs. It's not really a riff-based album, I think.
It's more of a feeling,
Yeah, and I think both Ontaard and Throwing Bricks we also have quite it's quite emo. It's all really sad, and yeah, it is, right?
It's melancholic.
Melancholic. That's right. That's the word I was looking for.
It's better for branding than emo, but
and stuff. Yeah. but if you write something that feels melancholic, you end up like telling a story somehow, and it's not that that's your starting point, but the starting point is always a riff or a few chords, and then I think we all just end up writing some kind of story. It sounds a bit cheesy when I say it like this, but I think you're writing a story with a song, and that a story has to go somewhere.
You have to like follow it too, which is interesting too, though. Like as it's being creative, hypothetically, you don't know where it's going or what that story is when you start.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you get to the end, you can sort of paint, and then by adding all the extra layers, you're finalizing that story.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys have done this live, right? Both bands together.
Last Friday.
It's,
cool.
Last Friday.
How did that go? What was the vibe like? Did it translate well live versus the album version?
First time doing anything is always like a bit tricky, and we had to find out like how to do it perfectly. But it went great. We have our own sound guy, Rens, there, which is always like a blessing when he's there. And we had so many collabs with Johanna, who did the viola, and we had Kim guest vocals and Iman on guest vocals. So there were so many like pieces to put together. So in the end, we were with a travel party of like, how many were there? Like 16, 18?
Wow.
people.
Okay. It's
So
like a
it was
full tour bus. Yeah.
intense, but so much fun, which was at the core of all of it.
It was really fun, yeah. But also, I think what we noticed is if you're performing a split live, we also did it as one full set. So we traded guitars halfway and switched amps during the interlude song, Blame Part 1. And but the split is only like 30 minutes or something. And so we both played one song extra. But it's not enough for me as a musician to get into the flow, because we played 3 songs.
You hardly broke a sweat. Yeah.
yeah. And we drove like 2.5 hours or something.
We had to wait there for 4 hours and then get on stage for 15 minutes and then head back home.
Hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was really cool. And also playing with violin for the first time for us was really fun.
Very interesting. I think that there should be more of this. Is this something that you would like to continue doing, though? Do you imagine collaborating again, doing this again? I imagine you're each going to go in your own separate ways and then hypothetically come back together. I'm still waiting for the next Mariner from Cult of Luna and Julie Christmas, but it hasn't come yet. I'd be stoked for that, but I'd also be stoked for a new collab between you guys.
It's just a matter of time, I think.
Yeah, I think we're probably...
I think it's inevitable.
Yeah, it is probably inevitable that we'll do something together once more.
That makes me very, very excited. I have one last question, a classic Vox and Hops wrap-up question. It probably doesn't happen to you very often unless you go out and drink a bunch of those high ABV beers, as I was mentioning before, in the Netherlands, as I noticed they enjoy them. What are your hangover cures?
Oh, well, my hangover cure nowadays is just to not drink enough to get...
That's the smart way. But every once in a while it gets you.
Yeah, no, every once in a while it gets me. And then my hangover cure is to be in very bad mood the entire 1.5 day. And try to drink as much water and some aspirins and eat some bad food.
Yep. You're nailing it.
It's the classic.
I've heard them all. So you're nailing like 3-4 in a row there. How about you, Jordi?
For me, it's either pizza or Retox.
Retox? What's that?
What's Retox? It's a retoxification, I guess.
Oh, when you
it's
jump...
It's like detox, but...
You jump... see, now that's a first. The hair of the dog. Retox.
Retox, yeah.
Drinking some more.
Retox, it works. It does work. It does work. A binge drink does make hangovers go away, but it makes them come back worse the next day. Well, that rhymes.
Yeah. So maybe then go for pizza.
There you go. Shira.
I think I just ignore them.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm still young enough to
I try to do that. Yeah. But it's sort of, it's like, no, it's not. And you just do the shit you got to do nonetheless. Yeah.
Go out and just have some fresh air and then it's over.
Very smart. See, I do that on tour and it does work. But the secret of not getting hangovers on tour is that you get to sleep. Whereas when I'm at home, I'm a father. So it's, I got to get up. So then I ignore them.
You have to.
They didn't drink the beers. I did. Marius, Jordi, and Shira, thank you so much for hanging out with me, talking about this collab. I think it's awesome. I'm excited for new stuff. Go check it out, people, if you haven't. I hope we get to hang out soon when I come back over eventually into the Netherlands. I hope to come to Utrecht. It's been a while since I've been there. If you ever come over here to Montreal, I will be there. Massive cheers.
Nice.
Thanks.
Cheers. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you all so much for listening right to the end. You know that I love and appreciate that. Man, this was an awesome conversation. So stoked that I had the chance to sit down with these two amazing bands that collaborated and made such a unique split album EP. I really, really enjoyed Oud Zeer. It was such a unique experience. I would love to see it live, as they were talking about doing, as they have just done. It seemed amazing. I would love for that to happen over here in North America. Hopefully that happens one day. I love the sonic landscape that they have created with this collaboration. I love it to death. You should definitely check it out if you have not as of yet. Massive cheers to the Throwing Bricks crew as well as Ontaard. I can't wait to hang out with you all again. The Vox and Hops Metal Podcast is brought to you by Sound Talent Media and Evergreen Podcasts. I hope you have a killer rest of the week. I will be back next week with another episode on Tuesday, but until then, remember to enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. Cheers, Vox and Hops heads.